Yeah, because it's about 8 o'clock right now.
Yep, 8 o'clock.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Ask Jun the Groomer Live. Today I have a special guest, one of my best friends, actually, closest friends. One of my closest friend. I have Andre Bradshaw. Sorry, I had a couple of beers already. But Andre, I'm gonna just do a quick introduction, let him introduce himself. But he's been one of my friends for the past. I've seen him like go from working together at the same recruiting company to now like head of director of this, the department of recruiting at huge Cox Enterprises. So he's my friend. I'm so honored that I get to call him my friend. One of his the best quality traits is being patient with me. But so Andre, how did you get into, okay, I just want to let everyone know, you've pretty much been recruiting your whole life, right? When you first started working at Chick-fil-A, you started recruiting your friends.
Yeah. I think I kind of have a natural sales ability within me, and so recruiting is part of sales. Yeah.
Perfect. So how did you get into recruiting?
I think it's the same way everybody did. It was convenient at the time and seemed like a fun thing to do. But I had no idea that was even a job, and I don't think most people did back then, a decade or so ago, although people have been doing this forever.
Yeah, when you actually got me into recruiting, I didn't know that I was like, this is the thing.
Yeah, no, it's fun work. You get to talk to a lot of people, learn a lot about what they do, their backgrounds, and how that ties with different professions and productivity within businesses.
So I guess what is like one of your biggest strengths, I guess, that makes you good at what you do?
So research. You said something, it might have been in one of your videos a couple of weeks ago around prep work that resonated with me. So when you were talking about brushing out a dog and doing all that prep work ahead of time, that's where I excel. Enjoy just talking to everybody under the sun, not because I don't want to have conversations with people, but if I spend all day on the phone, I'm not able to really find that perfect match. So I do a lot of prep work ahead of time. So I could maybe look at 100 resumes before I call one of them, because I'm trying to define, right, what makes the right candidate here. But again, back to prep work, even before that, I want to talk to the person who's making a hiring decision about what's important to them about that role, what's the background, what are they doing, what are the short-term goals, what are the long-term goals, short-term being first year, long-term being 5 years out, and define what those things are before we even start looking, because someone might be a match on paper to the position today, but if this isn't a short-term position, we needed to think through what attributes are important in the long term.
Wow. Oh, and so I think a lot of times groomers, when we're hiring, looking to hire somebody, probably none of that actually goes through our mind. Because when I'm hiring somebody, when we had our shop, even when we were working out of the house, it was a constant problem trying to find a good groomer, someone that could actually do a good haircut, that could do a good job, that would show up on time every day, and be consistent, but the thing is, I wouldn't even look at the resume really. I would just like, hey, when can you show up? And then, do a test group, show me what you can do. So I guess if we are going to look at the resume or try to do some pre-screening before they even show up, like what are some good questions, like qualifiers, or like how do you sift through literally thousands of resumes? How do you pick the few that you're actually going to call?
So what you're talking about, show me what you can do, is important. That's definitely a good interviewing technique. So don't think that that's the wrong approach, because it's the right approach. See what people can do, but what you're asking is, how do you define who those people are that you want to spend time out of your day assessing whether or not they can do the job.
Our client dogs that they're doing a haircut on, so it could be someone that doesn't know what they're doing and come and ruin the haircut. Now you have to explain to the owner.
Yeah, so I mean, I can treat you like a hiring manager, and I can ask you what are the attributes that are important to you in a groomer. So someone that hasn't groomed before, what do you think you would need for someone to train them? What are those attributes?
I would say that it would be things that are like not measurable, like uh, they would have to be committed. They would have to be driven, and but the thing is,
Well, those are
how
things
do you ask somebody? You know, because if I ask somebody, hey, are you committed and driven? They'll be like, yeah. When can I start? How much do you pay? You know, like, oh, so
let me ask you a question then. When was the last time that you created additional work for yourself?
additional work for myself. What do you mean by that? Like, well, I do it all the time. Like, because I don't get paid for any of the blogs that I do. I don't get paid for any of these videos I do. Like, nobody's paying me or asking me. I have no deadlines except for the ones I put on myself. And I start feeling guilty when I procrastinate on an idea.
So you just, that's the answer I want to hear when I ask somebody that question. You just said that you enjoy working. You enjoy your work. You're driven. You're self-driven. And the reason I asked it that way was because people are going to hear that question just two different ways. One person's going to hear that, I avoid creating extra work for myself. The other is going to say, well, I do it all the time because that's just who I am.
Okay, so you asked that question.
And it's vague for a reason.
How did you phrase it?
Tell me about the last time you created additional work for yourself.
Tell me about the last time you created additional work for yourself. I love that. I love that idea. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm in a position right now where I'm thinking about okay, so for the longest time I avoided the idea, even I rejected the idea of even hiring somebody because I'm doing house calls right now, and I wasn't booked out like I am now. Now I'm like literally turning away business. So like, but the thing is, I feel like the business model that I have right now. I'm going into people's homes, and sometimes they just leave me the gate code or the keys. They're not even there. A lot of trust involved. So I don't want to risk bringing somebody in, you know, like.
So I think that, yeah, that's tough. The only way I could see you bringing on somebody, and maybe it would be in a part-time capacity, is, but let me ask you this. Do you have, I'm assuming you have clients that have multiple dogs?
Yes. So
in that scenario, I think it'd be okay, because as long as you're there, it's not an issue because you're supervising the situation.
Mm-hmm.
The issue you'd run into is you can't hire a team to go out right now to be going to your clients' homes, at least not with additional expense on the screening side, because you'd have to do some extensive background checks and things like that, which frankly isn't that much money. You're talking about $60 a hire, but or I shouldn't say hire, $60 per person you run a background check on, but a background check in itself isn't everything.
Yeah.
Just it shows you the past, but not necessarily the future.
Well, especially right now, I'm actually thinking background checks might be a little bit more important, because in the grooming industry, even here in North Georgia, recently last week, a lady killed a dog in the grooming salon. So I'm thinking,
but maybe, she may have very well had a clean background.
That's true.
But you should background check. It's especially if you're trusting people with their kids, essentially, right?
Yeah.
People think of their animals as kids.
Yeah, and it's even more emotionally, I guess, sensitive, because these are kids that can't actually tell them, like verbally, what happened while they were gone. So
yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though. How does somebody like what are some good questions we could ask when we're trying to figure out who this person is? Because I've hired a lot of people, not a lot of people, a few people, where in the interview they killed it. I thought they were just amazing, and we were even quoting the same stuff. We were even into the same motivational speakers. So I thought, wow, I got a gem. But then a couple weeks into it, you know, pretty much like me though. Like, okay, so when I think about myself, even though I slacked off a lot of jobs, even the same company we worked at, I missed out like a whole week one time.
Well, we were kids back then. I slacked then too. I mean, I was constantly calling in, but because I hated it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I wasn't into the job. Yeah. My heart wasn't in it. I didn't really care. So I guess what it is we got to find somebody that actually cares about the work that we're doing. But how do we? What questions could we ask where we could sift through someone who's just saying what they need to say to get the job, or someone who actually does care about the dogs?
So you want to ask questions that are open-ended, that give you defined behavior. So the first question I asked you does that. Another question I used to ask that I don't do as much was I ask people to tell me about a time in their life, preferably in a work setting, but it could be at school or even in their personal life, where they had to overcome a challenge that they did not create for themselves. So overcoming adversity, basically. And I like to hear a story around the problem that they solved that they didn't create. So it shows ownership of the process, regardless of whether or not it's their responsibility, because that's something I think you run into a lot with people, that that's not my problem, that's not my job. And as a business owner, and frankly, working in any team, that's the last thing I want to hear. It's all of our problem, because we all are part of the same team, essentially, regardless of how small or big the company is.
I love that. So you're looking for a team player, and you're asking them to tell you a story about a time that exemplifies, that gives an that shows that they displayed qualities that you're looking for.
Yeah, I changed that to telling me about a time when they created more work for themselves, because I'm not necessarily only looking for someone that can solve other people's problems, but be proactive and find solutions to things that we don't necessarily think are problems.
So tell me about a time that you solved a problem that you did not create for yourself. I like how you worded that. Oh my goodness. All right. Let's see. And then, okay, so let me read that email that came in to you. Perfect. So, okay, you know what? I gotta pull it. I'll just summarize it. So I got an email back in January. And what was the name? Do you remember, honey? Julia. So Julia emailed me back in January, and like she wanted to do an internship with me. And right now I really am entertaining the idea, because I'm at a point right now where I could use some help. But we're also looking to move. We're going to be moving soon. So once we get a house, we're going to probably schedule a few days where we work out of the home. So there's a lot going on right now, lots of possibilities. So I guess the reason why I love Andre so much, and I ask him a lot of questions, because my very first interview that I did out in Utah, where it was like a company setting and there's other managers in the room, they asked me to interview someone that we already knew that we were going to hire pretty much, but I didn't even know what to say. I was like, what do I do? And so the girl that I was interviewing says, well, usually the person interviewing says, well, tell us a little bit about yourself. And I was like, oh my God, that's a great question. Tell us a little bit about yourself. So I have no idea what to do or what questions to ask when it comes with like a formal interview. So if I were to reply, I'm going to reply to this girl, Julia, but when I reply, what are some good questions that I could ask her that would give me a good idea of, is this someone that I really want to take on? You know, because of course in the email she's saying all the right things. Oh, okay. Oh, awesome. So, okay. So it's Julia. Hello, my name is Julia. I just watched your motivational YouTube video. It was absolutely inspiring. I've been searching a long time for the perfect place and environment to art of dog grooming. I can start ASAP. Please let me know if you have room for an up-and-coming groomer with the same core values as you. I thank you in advance for the opportunity. So yeah, so she's saying that she wants to learn an environment where it's the true art of dog grooming, but it's very vague. It doesn't tell me a lot, you know. It just kind of, you know, so I don't really know anything about this person right now with that email. All I know is that I have somebody that's interested in an internship. What do I say in a reply?
So you kind of have a good screening question due to the fact that you missed the email. So
yeah, I actually
since it's been 9 months or 10 months, you know, if Julia hasn't done anything to achieve that goal, then she may not be that interested in grooming. It might have been just a flavor of the week kind of thing. So I would be curious if Julia is grooming at this point.
And I honestly didn't even see that email come in.
No, yeah, you get a lot of emails, man. That's fine. I mean, that happens. We miss emails, and it's not fun. You want to respond to everybody, but
yeah,
it happens.
That's kind of my weakness. I was telling you earlier, like I want to respond to everybody. Like, oh my goodness. But
well, yeah, I can. You can't respond to everybody, unfortunately, and the more popular you get, that's the case. I mean, we get hundreds of applications on every job, and unfortunately, you just can't reply to everybody. I feel less bad about it when they're not even remotely like in line with the job, because I'm assuming they just blasted off the resume to every job that was out there, and so they're probably not taking it personally that I didn't respond. But myself, when I apply to a job, it takes 45 minutes on some like Taleo, which is horrible. Oracle, fix your stuff. It takes 45 minutes to apply to a job. And you spend all that time and you never receive a response, or best case, you receive a scanned response. So I get that. It's unfortunate, but it's part of it.
No, that's the thing. Is like, oh my goodness, because I know what it feels like to not get response. And there's so many people that I haven't responded to, and I feel so bad. And so I literally stay up late at night sometimes, but you know, I realize it's a never-ending battle. But we're getting off the topic. But let me see here. Like, questions coming in. Lisa Ames, love your videos. Have a 9-year-old Yorkie named Willie. I've been grooming her myself for 8.5 years. I have people ask me all the time, who does her haircut? That's awesome. Good for you, Lisa. And Alan Powell, did you peep the fresh stuff on my Instagram? Got that kennel looking Pinteresting. Those shirts are on a whole nother level.
I like Pinteresting. That's a nice new adjective.
Yeah. Corey Wilson says, how many times should I give bath in a week? Okay. Well, I was gonna keep this just on business and management, but since the question's here, I'm gonna give you a very simple answer, Corey Wilson. My perfect ratio is 6-to-1. So if you're gonna wash your dog once a week, there's 7 days out of the week, right? So that means your dog should be getting a thorough comb and brushing out. Square inch of your dog should be getting brushed out every single day. And then you wash for 6 days, and then you wash on the 7th day. And then if you spread that out 6-to-1, if you're washing your dog twice a year, then once a month, your dog should be getting a thorough brush out. If you're washing your dog once a year, and maybe once every other month, you know, and thus you can get away with that with like a border collie, you know, those medium coat, short hair dogs. Anyway, 6-to-1 is my ratio that I've come up with so far. It might change, but I think 6-to-1 is a good ratio. So if you want to wash your dog once a week, which I don't recommend, then you should be brushing and combing them out every single day. But if you're going to wash them once a year or twice a year, or, you know, once every couple months, anyways, you do the math. Okay. Alan Powell, 1 bath every 6 to 8 is ideal for average. 6 to 8 weeks, that is. Okay, perfect. Alan Powell, awesome. You're on top of it. So
I'm not sure I answered your question and how to respond, but
oh yes, to Julia.
Yeah. First, apologize for not obviously having not sent the email ahead of time, but I guess I did to some degree. Yeah, I would be curious as to whether or not Julia.
It says Julia. Yeah.
Had this point, but
yeah.
Aside from that, when you bring them in for an interview, I don't know how formal you would necessarily want the interview to be, but again, go back to think about what you do throughout the day and ask for people examples around challenges that you face. So what's a challenge that you face when you're grooming a dog that really gets you either upset or it's just tedious, something you don't enjoy in the moment?
Dematting the dogs. Yeah, a big doodle that's just matted head to toe.
So tell me, gonna groom, you know, the entry-level intern, maybe not, but they want to do it. Surely they've done this before.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about what you hate about grooming. Tell me a story about the worst dog you've ever groomed, right? Mm-hmm. And hear that story, real open-ended, and hear them tell it. And that'll give you an idea of how they work. Those open-ended questions sometimes go off the rails and you have to refocus them on. But if you keep going through those, you get an idea of how people think and how they work.
Yeah. Well, and I would want to know, yeah, like you said, what steps have you taken so far to groom a dog? Because I would want to see some measurable progress in a reasonable amount of time, like Jim Rohn says, you know, like, so when I was at Super Zoo this past year, and this guy, he works with independent recording artists, and he gave me some amazing ideas. And he had me open up my notepad, and we actually made like an outline of things that I can do to become like a you know, to really take my my brand and everything to the next level. And I just asked him, I was like, why are you helping me? Why are you doing this? And he was like, because I can see that you're doing a lot. I can see that you've already done a lot, you know? And so what I'm going with this is that I believe that he spent that time, because for me, he spent a lot. I even told him, I was like, these ideas are amazing. And you gave me a step-by-step plan of what I can do. It's going to take time, but if I do this, I can possibly become very wealthy. And and I was like, and you'll get nothing out of it if I just forget that we had this conversation. I just forget about you. I was like, so there's nothing in it for you. Why would you do this? And he was like, because I can. He was like, it just gives me the satisfaction of knowing that I helped.
Yeah.
And he was like, and what I'm saying is that had I told him, there's this YouTube channel that I'm planning on doing, and there's this book that I'm planning on writing, and I'm planning on doing this business where I go to people's homes and do this stuff. If I told him that, I think he would tell me, great, good luck. Those are great ideas. Good luck. Have a great day. But it's because I did make a YouTube channel. I did write books, and it's because I showed him, this is what I've done, and I don't know what else to do now. I need some help. He's like, yeah, I'll help you, because I can see that you're doing something.
Because it's worth the effort of helping you.
It's worth the effort. Yeah.
I think most people don't look for a transaction. They just want to know that it's worth, like, that something's coming from it. Like, I love training and helping people, as long as I know that they are engaged and want to do what I'm training them on. So, slight sidebar, but I have a training session I do once a week with my team on a skill set that's not at all aligned to what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And got a couple people that are going to be doing it now, or a few people have expressed interest, and there's definitely a result from this, because it's a skill that I think people should have that's missing in HR. But even if it wasn't, I'm happy to share my knowledge, because other people share their knowledge with me, and it's just paying it forward.
Exactly. Well, Jim Rohn said it best. He said that when you share an idea with 5 people, they all get to hear it once, but you get to hear it 5 more times. It benefits you 5 times more if you share something with 5 people. So yeah, I mean, it's always more beneficial to us to share. And okay, so a lot of people actually, of course, I'm making some ad revenue now, because I mean, you can't hide. I have subscribers now, but before, sorry, when this channel was pretty fresh, and I was making all these videos and everything, a lot of people, even some of my clients, even, they're just like, why are you doing this? It doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but I feel like it's because you want to share good ideas. Just because it's a good idea. I feel like sometimes, a lot of time, we say, I want to be helpful and I want to share great ideas with people, if I could just get paid for it first.
So my boss said something this week that I'd like to hear in a meeting. It's like, do the job that you want, mm-hmm. and then you'll get the promotion.
Do the job that you want, and then you get to do it first. Yeah.
Because you can't get a promotion for something that you don't know how to do.
Yeah.
Or that you haven't done. Like, that's way too big of a risk for any employer to take.
I'm so glad we're going here. I'm so glad this conversation is going here, because I've said this several times, that, and this was just what I thought. I was thinking, in the back rooms where managers are making decisions, they're never gonna say, hey, Jun shows up to work, most of the time on time, and he does a great job while he's here, but he doesn't really do anything extra. I think the way we could get him to do more is to promote him and give him a raise.
Yeah,
I don't think that ever happens.
That's ever happened in the history.
But you are in those meetings, like, you are in the management positions where they're like, in those conversations where you're talking about promotions and things like that. Like,
yeah, 2 days later, I had a conversation with that boss, and he asked me about one of my team members. And I said, yeah, this person's a leader. They're already a leader. They will be a leader next year.
Because they're already doing it,
right,
without getting paid for it, without getting the title for it or anything. They're just doing it.
Yeah.
But would it work if they were doing, I mean, okay, I think maybe it doesn't even matter. Let's say a management knew they were doing this just to get a promotion. Would it matter?
I mean, it might be interesting to see what happens 6 months down the road, but those behaviors are obvious when people are just doing things because they tend to only do them in public.
Huh. But how would you know if they're only doing it in public and they're not doing it in private?
Well, in a team setting, you can see people's work because you interact with it, but it's not necessarily visible out on the floor.
Huh.
So an example might be I do someone a favor and I announce that favor, and that's me self-promoting, whereas I do somebody a favor and they tell someone else about that favor.
But you didn't say anything about it.
Right.
Huh. But okay.
Not that there's anything wrong with self-promoting. You need to, because nobody else will.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because a lot of people have even said outright, some groomers that don't really like me or agree with what I do, but they've told me before. They sent me a message saying you're what did they say? You're an opportunist and you're a self-promoter. You love tooting your own horn, things like that. And so, but the thing is, I say you have to learn to toot your own horn, right? Because if you don't learn to toot your own horn, you're asking other people to toot your horn for you. And that's a big responsibility because they don't know the tune you have in your head. You know, like they're not going to play the right tune that you want. You have to play your own tune, right? So I guess the lesson would be learn to play a nice tune, right? That won't annoy people, right? Like
do good work and people talk. So a lot of your success that I've seen over the years is because you do the extra work, even when you were doing it to your own detriment.
Yeah.
You do the extra work just because you want to do quality work, and people see that, and the opportunities come from that.
You know, okay, so I listen to a lot of motivational speakers, and where it started was they were saying like, when people aren't watching, what do you do, right? So I started feeling guilty when I would walk my dogs at night and I would leave their poo, right? Because I'm not leaving it in people's yards. When it's in someone's yard, of course I'm gonna pick it up, you know. But when I'm walking in common area, like where the street is, you know,
where the kids play.
Yeah, no, not where the kids play. they're Lincoln logs. Anyways, no, but where the cars are going by, you know, that street area, the sidewalk areas where they go off on the side where you know it's patch of grass. I don't pick it up I didn't pick it up when it was at night because I'm like, it's nighttime. Who cares? It's not someone's yard. But it started to get my conscience. It started to make me feel guilty because I'm like, oh, you only do it when people are watching, right? You're one of those, right? I'm like, no, I'm not one of those. So I have a hat that my client gave me that when you press a button that has a flashlight. So now I wear that hat and I have a flashlight. But the thing is, what I noticed is that by picking up the poop when nobody would ever notice, it wouldn't matter if I left it or not. But picking it up anyways, it really, by doing that for the past few years, it has spilled over. That one little act of picking up my dog's poop when nobody would notice has spilled over into doing things that even in customers' homes, where I'll sweep up a different area that, you know, like for example, I'll be working in a bathroom. I'll sweep up the bathroom, but I'll notice that the hair flew out into the hallway. I'll sweep up the whole hallway.
No,
you know, like
part of the reason why I enjoy having you come over once a month is because you wash my tub for me.
No, but I mean, I think that those are the little. What is that quote? Not everything that can be measured matters, and not everything that matters can be measured. I don't even know who says that, but it's a good quote.
No, that's good. You're making me feel bad about taking Taco into the woods.
No.
So I have to pick up his.
No, but I mean, it's like little things like that. Like it makes a small difference. The small things. Okay.
Okay, so if someone that's starting a new business, that's like Patricia's situation or that email that we got, where they got a business name, they got the license, they have the van, modem, everything, but they don't know how to grow. Would it be best for them to spend their money on hiring someone to teach them how to groom, or would it be best to recruit someone, like use that money to recruit somebody to help you start, if that makes sense?
I don't know. Okay, so what my wife is talking about is we got an email from a lady who purchased the grooming trailer, already got the license, business license, legal name and everything. And so she's ready to go, but she doesn't know how to groom. And so like it took me 6 years to feel like I finally feel comfortable grooming. Even now I feel like I'm always learning. So I don't know. I feel like, wow, what a scary situation. I don't know if I would have had the guts to do that.
But it's a situation like that will be.
Okay, so I guess you would have to try to recruit someone, right? So now here's where Andy would come in. How?
So 6 years is right on point, maybe a little over the top, but I think 10,000 hours is traditionally what people say that you need to become an expert at something.
Yeah.
Which is essentially 5 years.
Okay. And that's 10,000 deliberate hours, not just 10,000 hours where you clock in and watch the clock.
Yeah. There's 2,080 hours in a year, so work hours, assuming no vacations.
Yeah. So that if you want to accomplish 10,000 hours mastery level in 5 years, then you really have to go in every day focused.
Yeah.
But
so you slacked off for about a year, I guess.
Yeah. It's my style. I sleep in front of the class and the teacher sees it. But so obviously she doesn't have 5 years. She's already bought the van. She's already financially committed to this new business. She doesn't have 5 years to develop the skills. So she probably needs to bring in a groomer that has 5 years experience at least.
But maybe not capital. So you 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. She has to find someone like me willing to work under her.
Yeah.
So how does she go about, because okay, now let's say that she hired you as her recruiter and she said, this is my situation. I need someone definitely long-term. I want them to stay with me at least 5 years. And I need someone that knows how to do haircuts on all breeds. They have 5 years experience. And they need to, be drama. Okay. So I'll give you the typical post that I see on the grooming Facebook pages. Drama-free, team player, punctual, needs to have a true love for animals, good with people, can groom all dogs, can do at least 5 to 6 grooms a day, work with, and then, so that description, she gives you that kind of description. How would you go about?
So I want to identify, there's a lot of characteristics there, a lot of asks. So what are the most important characteristics there? So from your perspective, what do you think the defining characteristic? Is it having a true love for animals? Do you think that's at the top, or maybe the top 3 characteristics you'd look for?
Yeah, I would say maybe a true love for animals might even be a hindrance if that was the very top, because
I could see that. Yeah.
A lot of what made me want to quit grooming early on was because I had to do everything that made a dog feel uncomfortable. Nails, clean their ears, do everything that the dogs hate pretty much, all in one sitting. And I wanted to do it in a way where the dog still liked me the next time I came back. And so I wanted to quit. I remember staying up late nights looking for jobs as like animal control, the ones that round up the stray dogs. I was looking for jobs like that, but then I saw that you had to pass a drug test and a psychological test. And so those 2 things probably, but anyways.
So Alan's saying patience, and that definitely makes sense.
Okay, so Alan says...
he just retracted it, but before he retracted it, it said patience.
Patience, okay. Oh my God, okay, so yeah, so the one of the qualities that you're looking for is that would be it, patience. Patience.
That's not something you find in a resume. That's definitely something you have to get out in an interview process. So I don't know what the candidate pool is like for dog groomers, or where you find these people. But you'd want to start with assessing the local market. So for me, I want to gather all that data first. So I want to see and clearly define, all right, who are the people in the industry? Let me gather all this information. Let me just look at it, look for trends, right? I want to see, okay, job history, what's that look like? Who are these groomers that they worked for the past? What do they do? What are they good at? What are they bad at? why would this person leave potentially? I want to look at those things, and then I can start getting an idea of who might end up being the right profile to look at. But I can't, when I'm looking at a new job, I try not to say they have to have 5 years of experience grooming, or they have to have, these things they're probably important, but I don't want to assume that. I want to just take all the data and really look at it holistically and see what comes out from it. So,
you know, you make a really good point, because a lot of the grooming positions that I was looking for early on, the reason why I didn't apply, because I had 2 years experience, or maybe 3 years experience, you know, at certain times, like, and they were asking for 5, you know, and it's like, wow. And some, you know, early on though, I had 1 year experience, and I was looking for positions, and you know, all the grooming classified ads were looking for 3 to 5 years experience. And so, yeah, I think you make a really good point. That might actually deter the right candidate from applying, right? Not saying that I was the right candidate. I'm just saying I didn't reply because they asked for that.
Yeah, years of experience certainly can. My current employer, we have a tendency to have very minimum qualifications. So I think the job that I have, I didn't apply to it, but I think it only required like 3 years of experience. And they do that because they don't care so much about years of experience. They really hire to ability. So we front load a lot of assessments, and we really get to know who people are and what their capabilities are. And we worry less about what they've done in terms of static years of experience.
So that's why you ask for stories. Tell me about a time when you created more work for yourself, or solved a problem that you didn't create. You don't care about how many years they've been at a certain job. You just want to know what they did while they were there.
And it depends on the role. I mean, some things you really do need the experience, and there's not. So if I'm hiring a lawyer, I need a lawyer.
Yeah.
I can't just train somebody off the street.
Yeah.
But there are roles that you can. So for this individual, that's a situation where they can't train because they don't have that avenue. That'd be a tough fill. I mean, personally, if I was just approaching it without any knowledge like she is, I would go look on YouTube videos, right? There are people commenting on your videos. I would just go do a lot of reading and look for people that way. Look at these YouTube videos. I don't know, what's another source that you're out there putting content on, or that you read that people in the industry comment on? I would go to the industry, to forums, those sorts of things. Okay.
Yeah, petgroomer.com is a good one. Yeah. Okay.
I'd go and just read those and see who pops out to me and start messaging them. And look for someone like yourself.
Yeah.
That has the ability but doesn't have, and wants to do mobile grooming but doesn't have the money to start the business and buy the van and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's a win-win for both parties.
Yeah. Okay. And then Alan Powell, I just wanted to read the comment here. People naturally like to help people that are already helping themselves. Think it's why you see small businesses supported way more than panhandlers. Yeah, exactly. Speaking of panhandlers, Alan Powell, I'm so glad you said that. One time when we were at a drive-through, we were at a drive-through, and a homeless person, as we were pulling out of I think it was Wendy's, but as we were pulling out of the drive-through lane, a homeless person knocked on our window. He was like, "Hey, can you give me $1?" And I was like, "No, I can't." And we drove off. And Ava, I think she was like 4 at the time, she was like, "Daddy, why didn't you give him some money?" You know, and I was like, "Ava, I know that seemed mean." I was like, "But I couldn't reward that behavior because that would teach him the wrong thing." And she was like, "Well, what is it? What's the wrong thing?" I was like, "That would teach him that you can get money without giving service first." I was like, if he offered anything, I was like, he could have offered anything. "Hey, you know, let me move this rock out of the way for you," or, you know, "Let me wipe your headlights for you." I don't care, like anything. Then I would have definitely given something in return. But I wanted to make sure Ava understood, my daughter understood, that you can't just ask people to give you something without giving them something first in return, you know? But yeah, you can't ask people to help you and expect them to help you if you're not helping yourself, you know, if you give them no reason to help you.
Well, I think he was commenting on when we were talking earlier about, you know, if somebody is doing that work already, then it's worth it to me because I know it's going to be beneficial. And the reason you don't give the $1 to that person is not because you don't feel for them. I want to help that person, I really do, but I can't help everybody, and so I've got to choose my battles. And I want my money to go to the highest impact.
Yeah, but
so I
without changing their
or at least
mindset.
have the mindset that they want to help themselves.
Yeah, without helping them change their mind, just giving them money, is that really helping them? You know, give like that saying, give a man a fish, you know, or teach him to fish. But okay, next one. Alan Powell, sure would suck to buy all that stuff and find out you don't like doing the work. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh my goodness, that would suck. Okay, my man, Alan Powell. I want my coworkers to have patience and consideration. Exactly, patience and consideration. That's the thing. Be considerate. The things that infuriate me the most is when I see acts of inconsideration. When I see somebody being like obviously blatantly, you know, like purposefully inconsiderate to another person. Oh man, it just enrages me for some, like it just, you know, I've been getting better now. I just tell myself I'm not the fixer of things. Just breathe it out, let it go. But man,
Yeah.
Jessica Turek, I want my co-workers to care enough to watch videos like this. Oh wow, Jessica, thank you so much. I mean, you really have to care a lot to watch videos like that. I was kidding. Alan Powell, a big thing I've noticed, and this could be anecdotal, but groomers who don't want to help other groomers generally are the ones who get complaints and cut corners. I think so. I think a lot of the fear that I fight every single time I make another post or I write another blog article is that someone's going to tell me that I'm wrong. You know, but now I've gotten so much better at that because now I realize that being wrong is not a bad thing. Being wrong is a great thing. Being able to acknowledge when you're wrong is a great thing because now you can actually change.
Yeah. I proposed this question not in an interview setting. I think I threw it on Facebook a year or so ago. But I asked someone, or I just made the question, when was the last time you were wrong about something? Or that you had something along that line. Because if you don't remember, oh, that's scary.
Yeah. Has anyone actually answered you like that? Have you ever asked that question and someone answered you, I've never been wrong?
I've only asked it in that public setting. I think only like one person responded.
Oh, really? Oh, man. That would be crazy, though. Yeah, because if anybody ever answered, if I asked somebody, tell me a time, you know, that you've been wrong, and they say, well, I really can't think of a time. I can't remember the last time I've been wrong. I think we have a problem, right?
That's a common interview question people ask around, you know, your biggest failure or a failure or something like that. And I think a lot of people instinctually try to hide their failures, or they get some fluff answer that wasn't really a failure. And they don't understand the purpose of that question. The purpose of that question is to see how you learn. And so if you can't tell that story, all you're telling me is that you've never learned a lesson.
So actually, if an interviewer asks you, tell me about a time where you failed or you messed up, the best answer would be to be honest and just tell you, like, actually confess one of your biggest mess ups, right?
Assuming you learn from it, yeah, and you can tell the story of how you learned from it. If you just screwed something royally and it costs a ton of money to everybody and you didn't fix the issue, might not be a great story to tell, although I'd still love to know about it so that I can not hire you.
So the punchline is, I got drunk and I accidentally drove the delivery van into another car. I'm sorry about that. Then perfect. But if it's something like I messed up, this is how I offended a client. I accidentally I meant to connect with them, but I accidentally said the wrong thing. And I actually offended them. That kind of mistake is what you're talking about. And then here's what I did to try to
completely transform who someone is. So a couple of years, maybe 3 years ago now, I was working on something and I knew the job well enough, and I knew that it was not going to be a job we could fill easily based on the parameters or based on the absolute. They were very high. There were basically like 10 people in the world who could do this.
Oh my goodness.
But I didn't pull the data together and I didn't present the data, just told the person what I'm telling you now, that there's 10 people in the world that can do this. And talked to 6 of them and they're not interested, and the other 4 we can't reach. But I didn't present that, and I didn't go through and talk through the alternatives of, all right, and here's the And I had that information sort of, but I didn't have a structure and it wasn't presentable. And that was a failure, and ultimately filled the position, but it was just it could have been a lot smoother and it could have happened a lot quicker. But that completely changed my process to now where I front load my research into it, and it's actually made me a much better recruiter as a result.
Because so even though you may not have actually like made it right with that specific client.
No, I did actually. They were very happy at the end of it. It's just it could have been better, and I felt it as a failure. I don't know if they did, but
okay. But what you're saying is that even if it was let's just say that the client got upset and you lost that deal, but you learned from it, and now you perform much better because of that. That's what
changed my process. Yeah.
So that's what. Okay. So there's I want my coworkers to. Okay. Alan Powell. A big thing I've noticed, and okay, no. Okay, very true, Alan. Okay, where am I? Alan Powell. I'm wrong often, but I try to have my system to where I leave a little room to be wrong. Objectiveness versus subjectiveness. Yeah, and okay, so I've been listening to a lot of Seth Godin these days. But I recently found Seth Godin, and he's the author of Lynchpin. You know Seth Godin. But so what I really like about Seth Godin is that he's saying that what makes an artist is not somebody who actually paints or sculpts or these. That's just the form. So somebody can be a painter but not an artist if they're just replicating other people's paintings. He's saying what makes an artist is someone who says, this might be wrong, or this might not work out, but I feel the need to try it anyways. And you put it out to the world, and then he's saying that's what vulnerability is. Vulnerability is not saying like, oh, I miss my wife, I'm vulnerable. It's not that. It's vulnerability and saying, I made this for the world. I hope you like it.
Yeah.
And being
judged is tough.
Yeah, he's saying that's vulnerability. And what makes a true artist, no matter what you do, whether you're in business, whether you're an entrepreneur like he is, or even if you're grooming dogs like me, or whether you're in corporate, recruiting like you. But I think what makes an artist is saying this might not work out, but it's worth a try. And you're willing to try it. You're willing to be wrong, and you're willing to be vulnerable.
Yeah,
right? Like
that's a big thing. Those are the people I want to work with. We can all grow together.
But so you're saying that when you're hiring for companies, even that's the main quality you're looking for, somebody who is willing to be wrong.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say main quality, but it's very important. I want people that are willing to take risks that are not necessarily risky people that are going to cause problems, but people who are willing to put themselves out there and try something new. So I'm not at all I make pretty good money, but money at a certain point isn't important. What's important is that I'm learning and growing with others.
Yeah.
And you can't learn and grow if you're not pushing the boundaries. And so by the very nature of that, you're going to fail. And if you're not willing to do so, then we're going to sit around doing the same thing. And in a big corporation, you can get by doing that for a long time because you have market share, but eventually a disruptor comes and eats your lunch.
When you're the disruptor. Yeah.
I want to be the disruptor, yeah.
Yeah, I remember because, okay, so just to give you guys a little bit of backstory on Andre and I, now that I'm a couple beers in, but yeah, Andre, like the thing is, we both know what it feels like to have to cook macaroni and cheese for dinner, not because you want macaroni and cheese for dinner. We've both been there. And to see him, like just grow so exponentially. And the thing is, one thing I won't ever forget is Andre told me, I'm so not scared of losing all the money now. Now that I have it, he was like, I'm not scared to lose it. Because now that I have it, I realize it does not what matters. I was like, wow. And the thing is, like, so I'll let him tell it if he wants to. But he had what I would consider the dream position, the dream job. I was like, other people in your position would say, I'm done. I'm just gonna ride this position out into retirement, and I'm done for my, But he's like constantly pushing the envelope, doing like stirring things up. And then he was like, you know what? I don't think I'm, I don't think I'm making a great, as much of an impact here. I'm gonna go do this. It changed job. Like when you have the dream job, in my position, anybody who thinks that life is about financial security, getting a good retirement, the end. Anybody who that's their goal in life, you had the perfect position. You know, it's like, wow. And then you changed to do something that may not be as safe as what you had before. You know, like, and you're willing to do that. It's like, wow. It's just amazing to me. But what you're saying is that you're willing to do that. You're willing to risk everything. You're willing to lose the money because you realize now that you have the money, it's not really what matters. It's not what makes the difference.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I like money.
Yeah, of course. I tell everybody I take the money.
And frankly, it allows me to be better at my job, because I don't have to, if I need something new for work, I don't have to go ask for permission and get approval for buying something that I need. I just go buy it, and I get my work done.
Yeah.
So I like having money for that reason. It makes me able to reinvest in myself. So it's important to me, but at the same time, I'm not looking to retire at 33.
Well, yeah. And Malcolm Gladwell even talks about like the diminishing returns, right? And I think it's in the book Outliers, but he talks about how after a certain point, I think he said it was after 75,000, after $75,000, he's saying then you start to have like diminishing returns, where it's somebody who's making 80 grand a year compared to someone who's making 120 grand or 150 grand a year. He's saying the person who's making that 150 grand a year gets to take a few more vacations, gets to eat out a few more times, but that's it. He's saying like, and it actually, if once you start to go past that, then it starts to become even more, it starts to become more problematic, and you have more challenges after that, especially raising your kids and trying to teach them to be frugal and, you know, responsible with money. Because so he talks about the diminishing returns. So I love it. It's like, don't do it for the money. Of course, I have to be honest. Now that I'm actually making this passive income and I have a full schedule, and I don't have to worry about getting new clients. I have to be honest. A lot of the pressure is being, you know, taken off, and I enjoy my work a lot more. So I get what you're saying. You can enjoy your work a lot more when the stress of not being able to pay the gas bill is gone. But after a certain point, when you know your bills are paid, when you know you can pay the gas bill, and you know there's groceries in the fridge.
Sorry, I'm just laughing because Autumn's probably telling her right now. I just didn't have gas for a while and took cold showers because I was like, fuck the gas bill. Sorry.
No, but I mean, I get, the thing is, money is very important, you know, because you and I both been there. You know, it's hard to really be passionate and focus on your passion. Not that we didn't, we both did, but it's hard to. It presents that extra challenge when you don't have money.
Yeah, having money allows you. We're going off on tangents, but having money allows you to be creative and think, because you can pay other people to do this tedious stuff in life.
Exactly.
Like, one of the things I love about your service is that I don't have to go somewhere to get my dog groomed. You'll come groom him at my home. Oh man, that saves me so much time. I told you before, I'd probably pay you double for the same service.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm happy to do it. So Jessica says, so Andre's job is like a real life Mila Kunis and Friends with benefits. Yeah. What was that? Yeah, pretty much. So basically what Andre's specialty is you know, corporations and very specialized companies even, who have very difficult to fill positions come to him. They tell him what they're looking for in the ideal candidate. He works his magic, finds the right people, and, you know, creates that match. So that's what and the thing is, I'm simplifying it, but like he said, so much prep work goes into it to make it happen. You know, like, it's kind of like saying I go to someone's house and I make their dogs look nice. You know, very, very simple way of explaining the hours that I spend there and sweat. And, you know, that's kind of the very simple way for me to explain what he does. But like I explained in the Golden Triangle, the amount of prep work. And that's actually where I got the idea to use that business analogy. Is he was telling me that before he makes a phone call, sometimes he takes months preparing for that call, which may only take 30 minutes, you know. So we had one last question before we finish up here about firing. So it comes up you know, in the grooming industry, probably more often than in other industries, just in my opinion, because I've had to, you know, I've had to let go of a lot of people as well in a very short amount of time. And so, like, first of all, how do you what's the best way to go about firing somebody? But more importantly, how do you even prevent that from even happening in the first place? How do we go, you know, because if you have a good hiring process in place, then hopefully that would prevent the need to fire too often, right?
Yeah, I mean, so asking behavioral questions is essential. Open-ended questions that really allow people to tell stories about what they've done. If they can't tell you stories about what they've done, they haven't done it. And if those stories aren't compelling, they're probably not very good at what they do. Now, some people maybe just didn't prepare, but sorry, I guess.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, if you actually had that experience, what preparation do you need? You should be able to just tell them, right?
Well, sometimes you're not prepared for the question. Like, it's not just at the front of your mind, that experience you've had. I know I've been in interview situations before where I thought, oh man, I could have told a much better story. I'd known that was going to be a question. So you do miss that, but I don't know. I don't have an answer for that piece. Just people go look up on Glassdoor what people's questions are in interviews. Most people or most employers ask the same questions over and over again. So do your homework before you go to interviews. But in terms of firing, I don't know, man, that's tough. I hate letting people go, and I look for every opportunity to put them somewhere else where I think they might achieve more. But if somebody's, so for example, if somebody's just not in it, if they're not doing the work, they're not showing up, they're not engaged, I can't show people how to work. Like, I can't be your parent. I have other things to do. But if you're engaged and willing to work and you're just not good at your job, I'll try to find you something else. And grooming, I don't know how much variability there is, right? Like, yeah, there's like maybe 3 jobs in grooming that you do. Like, yeah, the heavy prep work, the washing and the cutting. Like, am I missing, or nail clipping? But
yeah, well, I mean, in a busy shop, you could always use a front desk girl. You know, someone checking in the clients, calling, and
yeah. So look for those opportunities to redeploy if you can. If you feel like the person wants to do well and they're just not capable, and maybe they need additional training, or maybe that's just a skill set that they're not good at. Maybe they don't have good attention to detail, so they're not going to be good at doing the cut or the prep work. But they could do the bads, right? Or maybe they could do the customer interaction if they're really good with people.
Yeah. So that answers my question and how fast you should fire.
Okay, you know, so how fast you should fire.
So instead of just, you know, I don't like what you're doing and just.
Oh, you know what? Before we end, last thing I wanted to cover, because you told me, it's if you're gonna hire one, it would be better. It would be easier. You know, it would be
if you're starting with 0.
Yeah. Yeah. Then if you're gonna hire one, might as well hire 3.
Right, because the operational impact of person is really high for that first person. So if you have the capital, then hire a couple, because it's the same. Like, it's the same paperwork essentially that you're doing for 1 that you're doing for 2 or 3. Now, obviously, 10 is going to be a bigger impact. But if you're hiring your first employee, if you can, hire a couple.
Hire at least a couple. If you're gonna hire 1, might as well hire 2. Is what you're saying.
If you need them, you know. If you don't, you don't. But I'm just like, if you feel like you can hire a couple, don't. I think that was unique to the conversation we were having a couple weeks ago. So I'm not sure exactly. I think I was talking through some process stuff with you, because I don't know how much. Well, I think that you do have an opportunity to. Your skill set is doing that at prep work, and you can have other people do some of the stuff that's not as detailed around bathing. And so, for going back to your question about whether or not you can hire somebody right now based on your current business model, I think you got to be careful for those reasons. But I think you could hire for someone for when you have multiple dogs, because you can do the prep work on one, have them then bathe and do that stuff while you're doing the prep work on the other.
Yeah. Yeah, but if I don't have enough money or enough capital to support 2 employees, then probably not a good idea to hire 1, right? Because if what you're saying is if that one person that I invested in doesn't work out, then
no, you could. I wasn't saying that. I was just saying if you need to hire 2 and have the capital to do so, don't. Like, the operational expense, or the expense and operational time, is going to be essentially the same. You're talking about maybe 10% difference. in terms of the time it takes to do paperwork.
So if you're able to, it's better to hire a couple.
It's not that it's better. It's just don't be afraid of doing that because you think it's going to burden you with more paperwork.
Okay.
Do that much more.
Okay. And as far as like the money going out, I mean, I guess it's gonna.
And you could always 1099 people. You don't have to hire them as employees.
Okay, just as like self-contracting, just pay them cash, straight up cash.
Yeah, file a 1099 instead of W-4.
You know, that's a hot issue in the grooming industry right now. I don't even want to get into it because it's going to take a whole nother hour, but they're saying that groomers should not be 1099 anymore. Like we should be classified as employees.
No, you should. I don't recommend people 1099 because you carry both sides of taxes. It's but
yeah, interesting. Okay, but as far as the process, I mean, you know, you're saying if you're looking for the right employee, if you're looking for the right person, what you want to do is ask open-ended questions. You want examples of when they took initiative, pretty much when they created more work for themselves without anyone expecting them to.
How they handle challenges.
How they handle challenges. How they handle challenges that they didn't create.
Yeah.
Someone else's mistake.
Yeah, somebody else's poorly trained animal.
And how did you handle that? Okay.
You didn't drag them and beat them against the wall and ultimately kill them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not blaming, like, I'm sure that dog was a perfectly nice dog. I mean,
yeah, okay. I mean, even if it has to do with the time that with their children tested their patients, you want to know about that. You want to know that your patients has been tested before, and this is how you handled it.
Yeah, although I try to stay away from personal questions whenever possible because get into just not good to ask personal stuff in an interview whenever you can avoid it. Yeah.
Oh, really? So don't ask if they have children?
Yeah, oh, definitely no.
Really?
Don't ask any personal information like that unless you want to get sued.
Really?
Yeah, man.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, if they volunteer it, that's one thing, and start the conversation, but definitely, and honestly, I would, even if they bring it up, I'd avoid
just move on to the next question. Really? I didn't know that.
Be cordial. I mean, if they're talking about the kids, say, I have kids too, cool. You know, you don't want to dismiss people when they talk, because I want to get to know people, but in an interview setting, those things. So for example, if I was an employer and I wanted to work you into the ground 80 hours a week, and I knew that you had 3 kids, I would then know that I can't work you into the ground because you have 3 kids. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. But yeah, so you don't want to ask personal questions. Okay. But you want to ask about personal experiences.
At work.
At work.
Or in school, if they're entry level.
Okay. Okay. But not personal experiences as far as their personal life.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Related to your job.
Yeah, I wouldn't have
people act differently in their personal lives too than they do at work. Like at work, I have to be engaged and talking to people all day long, but at home, I don't want to say a word to anybody ever.
Which is why I appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So Alan Powell, my man, Alan. He says, this has been a big ego boost. And Alan, I'm so glad you're safe. There was a wildfire where Alan is. What is it? Lake Elsinore, right? Lake Elsinore, California. I saw on Facebook that you were safe. I mean, that's crazy. Thank goodness you're safe. I'm glad you made the show and you're not caught up in that wildfire. Crazy. And Alan says, I put the Alan in challenge. But you don't put the ammer in grammar. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding, Alan. Anyways, I'm not sure if challenge is spelled, but you know.
It's good.
I'm pissed off one of my biggest supporters. Anyway, Alan, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and for everyone who may watch later on. Hopefully this was helpful to you, but I'm going to go ahead and shorten the highlights and do a little blog article so you guys can get like the main points, because some of the stuff that he said I really liked. But thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend.